Electric Soup Kitchen.
Lay awake for hours, never noticed you get up, never heard you slip away. And in the coming weeks and months, I could never have known what the hell was to go down. Now everyone loses their way, and everyone feels just the same. When hammered with the classic line, I'm leaving you. There's no extra time or photo finish. You decided months ago. Someone excited you far more than I did. Played a forward rate, bottled everything up, prescribed myself ammonia, sugar and weed. Stayed inside myself, with no intent to get out, safe, secure within myself. Now everyone deals with the shade in different ways. Don't pity yourself. Lots of folks are far worse off than you are. There's no extra time or photo finish. You decided months ago. Hammer me with the classic line I'm leaving. Tie my body down to the rail track. Shred my legs and arms and my face, my back, my legs, and any other crack. Lay awake for hours, never noticed you get up, never heard you slip away. Never heard you slip away.
Richard, it's 2007,
It is a whole new year.
but we're a bit late. We've had complaints on the comments board about our shoddy lateness.
Well, tough.
Well,
We have international lives to lead.
well, I explained that you'd had pneumonia, but they said illness is not an excuse.
Well, a fruit basket would have been nice.
You still sound a bit bunged up. Are you still ill?
Yeah. I crawled out of bed, give them their monthly joy.
And 5:30 in the morning in the States as well. Anyway, let's. That song that we started with was called "Maybe I'm Icarus" by the Boy Tate. So thanks to David from the Boy Tate who sent that in. If people like that song, they can go to MySpace and search for the Boy Tate, Tate, or they can go to our link section, electricsoupkitchen.com, and that'll take them there. And that's David and Andrew. They're a duo. You used to like Dubstar, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, these two guys in a previous formation, another band, I think they were called Brick Supply, wrote "I'm Not So Manic Now." That was one of their songs.
Oh, I really like that one.
Yeah. Well, Dubstar covered it, and that was sort of Dubstar's big hit. Did you like Dubstar, or did you just fancy the lead singer?
I must admit, I did. I like Dubstar, but I really liked her because she sang with an accent, which I really liked.
Yeah. Well, that was one of their songs. But David sent me in a load of music, and we'll play a bit more Boite at the end of the podcast, and I might even use some in other podcasts because I've got like 3 CDs worth. So thanks for that. We're also later on going to talk about the Piranha remake. We both read the script of that. We're going to talk about that. I want to talk about the end of Torchwood because I didn't see it. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have.
I haven't seen the last 2 episodes, but I sort of lost interest with Torchwood. So, but they're repeating it, so I might have to wait like a month and a half until it's repeated on the BBC till it gets to the end of the series. But what did you think of the ending without giving too much away?
Oh, it's hard to give you anything away if you haven't seen it.
I know, but was it good? Was it satisfying?
Oh, it's tricky. Yeah, it's not a bad ending. The actual nemesis that they faced, I was very disappointed with.
Right.
But yeah, I must admit I've quite enjoyed Torchwood. Yeah, 'cause it has been a slightly different track to Doctor Who and actually most things the BBC's ever done.
Yeah. You enjoyed it more than me, definitely.
It does fall down in a few places. You know, the budget. You know, the same room used in every episode is a different thing.
Right.
Gets a bit obvious at times.
Well, that's like those weevils. These weevils that are coming through the rift and living in the sewers, but are also wearing like 80s leather outfits. Do you remember those?
What else would you wear in the sewers?
Well, I thought they were monsters, but one gets out and he's all in leather. Anyway.
There's a lot of monsters in leather.
Did you get any geeky Christmas gifts?
Not really. The kids all got Nintendo's DS's.
Oh yeah.
It's quite fun.
Can they link them all up?
Yeah, they can do, yeah. Just for the only thing they can do is chat, and I think one of the games they can battle each other.
Santa didn't come and empty his sack into your stocking.
No.
I bought it for myself, but I got the Superman DVD box set. Have you seen that one? It's like 14 discs.
No?
It's got
Of the Smallville?
No, it's got all the Christopher Reeve films, and then the new film, and then all this bonus stuff like 50s cartoons of one of the 50s films, 2-hour documentaries, tons of. It's got Superman 2, and then it's got Superman 2: The Richard Donner Cut. Do you know that story?
I heard something about it.
Yeah, it was I didn't realise, but when they made Superman 1, they shot Superman 2 back to back because they had this huge production going. But rather than make 1 and then move on to 2, they shot it all at the same time. So if there was a scene in the Daily Planet offices, they did all the Daily Planet scenes for over 2 films.
Right.
So they'd spend a month, and then if there was a scene in his fortress, then they'd do all the 1 and 2 fortress scenes. But then, because they were running behind schedule, they said, "Oh, we've got to concentrate on 1." But he'd shot 70% of 2, and then they sacked him. 1 came out, and they sacked him, and he never got a chance to finish it. And they got Richard Lester in to finish it, and he added lots of jokes like do you remember when the villains are creating that wind and there's wigs blowing off and ice creams blowing into women's cleavages? He added all this stuff, so there was a huge fallout. But anyway, but they had all this footage that he'd shot, and they finally last year let him go back and cut his version. So he's it's more or less how he intended it. So it's interesting to see. It's very different, and there's lots of footage there's Brando footage that they didn't use because it was going to be too expensive that they can now put in because he's dead. So it's
Yeah,
fascinating.
the dead are a lot cheaper.
Yeah, well, it's free. He's in Superman Returns, isn't he? Have you seen Superman Returns?
No, it looked a bit too campy for me.
I'd check it out, but he's in that. They've like computer generated him, Marlon Brando, into that.
That's a hell of a lot of pixels.
It's just his head. Did you see the Doctor Who Christmas special?
I did.
I was disappointed with that too.
Well, it's a bit strange because it's a bit like tacked on between series.
Yeah. Wasn't it just a huge excuse for some washing spiders down the plug hole joke?
Kind of.
Except
I did quite like the monster.
Yeah, I did, but I thought
Apart
anyway,
from she had that strange sort of accent thing going on.
I love the car chase with the TARDIS going down the motorway. That really sort of made me
Yeah.
happy to see that. I thought that was brilliant, but it didn't really click. I love last year's Doctor Who special was Christmas Day special was great, but
Yeah.
that leads me on actually to a email I got from a listener, because at the end of the Christmas special he drains the Thames, doesn't he? They're in the Thames flood barrier,
Yeah.
aren't they? Well, this guy, Paul Fawcett, he sent me a link to a website called undergroundkent.co.uk. Underground, one word, Kent, it's all the same. Underground Kent, one word, KENT.co.uk. And he was talking about the Maunsell Towers, and I've actually put a picture of them on our website, electricsoupkitchen.com, in the photos section. And he wrote, they look like something out of science fiction. I think more steampunk genre. Do you know what steampunk genre is?
No?
I think it's like Japanese anime. I think it's like Victorian future, set in the future, but with like Victorian steam-driven machines.
Alright.
Um,
A legal gentleman type of thing.
yeah, but you always hear War of the Worlds thrown about, even tripods. These are these sea forts that are in the middle of the English Channel. I haven't seen anywhere else in Britain that I haven't seen anywhere in Britain that looks more like science fiction. So I challenge you and your listeners to find something better. I'll even be fair and say science fiction / horror / fantasy. Have a look at the full web pages. Underground Kent. In Kent, we're not scared of getting our hands dirty or poking around in dark holes. That's because on the web pages there's lots of tunnels as well. But yeah, go have a look at these photographs at these sea forts. They do look amazing. They do look like sort of vintage tripods from War of the Worlds. But and I think it's a great idea. It's a great, if anybody wants to run with this, and we'll sort of send in photographs of actual places that they think look like sci-fi places or horror or fantasy places, and we'll stick them on the website. I also think it's a website in itself. So if Paul's listening, and if we get lots of photos, and he's interested in setting that up together, I think a website that is sort of, isitsci-fi.com with photographs of real places that look science fiction, I think that's a great idea.
No, Seaport, isn't that one of those places that declared itself its own country? 'Cause it's 3 miles out of, the limit outside England.
Yeah, I don't know about that. The sea forts, the ones that we're talking about.
Yeah, there's one of them that was just outside, like the international sea border or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And the guy who owned it declared himself his own country and wouldn't pay taxes or anything to England.
Oh.
He gave himself his own passports and currencies, and it's up for sale at the minute, I believe.
He
So you could buy your own country.
just made his own passport.
Yeah.
So
Well, no, he invented his own currency, his own constitution.
but there's only him living there.
Yeah.
So he's
Apparently,
who's he showing his passport to?
well, no, you can pay to be a citizen of his country, so you can have your own passport
All right.
issued from him.
And you turn up with some real cash, and he'll change it into these homemade ones that he's printed off on his printer.
Yeah.
And you can spend in his sea fort in the gift shop.
Yeah.
Well,
But it's meant to be like a bit of a tax haven. That's what I think he sort of set it up as.
yeah. Well, I don't think there's anyone living in these ones, but anyway, go have a look at the website. I'll have a look at I've put one picture up on our website with the permission from undergroundkent.co.uk. to use that picture. But they do look amazing, and I do think it's a great idea. If anybody knows of anything or lives near anything that they look at and they think, oh, that really reminds me of some sort of sci-fi or horror thing, send us a picture in, and we'll get those set up on the website.
Truth is stranger than fiction, and this is the proof. This is Ripley's Believe It or Not.
The steeple of the parish church of Eccles, England, was buried under sand by a gale in 1605 and was exposed again by high winds 275 years later. Believe it or not. In a moment, I'll tell you the strange story of George Thompson. One of the most unusual expressions of sorrow was shown by George Thompson of Pomfret, Connecticut, who literally clothed himself in sadness. He did it as a mourning gesture for his fiancée, who died on the eve of their marriage. As a constant reminder of his great loss, he wore the clothing that he had planned to wear on his wedding day for the remaining 30 years of his life. Believe it or not.
We've had a lot of comments. I don't know what the last time you looked at the comment section on the website.
Last I saw was the comments about the picture of me in the zombie movie wrestling the guy for the last sandwich.
What did you think about that?
Well, it was a dark area of my life. I needed the money.
That zombie has got the same tight perm, although it's not quite as long as yours. That was from a guy called Great Elk, who seems to have took a bit of a shine to you, because he also accused you of being in the Destructor Mundo podcast, didn't he?
Oh, he did.
He said you were moonlighting on there, which I haven't had a chance to listen to that, but I looked at that. Did you check that podcast out?
A little bit of it, yeah, but then it broke up for some reason.
All right. I mean, if anybody is interested, Destructor Mundo podcast is one where they basically do end of the world scenarios like zombies or nuclear war, and they just talk about how they would survive it. And it's the same. That's what they do every month. They do a different scenario and talk about it. But Grey Elk accused you of moonlighting and being on that podcast too, didn't he?
Aye. Is
And
he
then he's-
like the INS or something?
I don't know. But then he was obviously looking at the Night of the Living Dead 3D gallery, which looks terrible, I thought, didn't you?
Yeah.
It looks absolutely... I think that links back to what we were saying about public domain. Because that film's public domain, anyone can make their own Night of the Living Dead. But yeah, he also accused you of being in the second photograph in. He asked if that was... He was very funny, actually. He said, "Okay, bub, you may not be moonlighting on the other podcast, but we think we got your ass for sure." Which made me laugh. The comments board, on the whole, is making me laugh.
There's some good comments in there.
The recent one, the guy who was Dan, who was complaining about our lateness. He also... Do you remember Oliver did a Clayman animation about he finds the electric soup kitchen? Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
Well, that was up on the website for a while, but then I took it down. And he wanted to know where Clayman had gone. This also linked into a huge thing about a turd-shaped shadow on a that was left on a carpet. Somebody, let me check the emails. Somebody, let me find this guy's name. Egg Fried Nice left a comment saying that he was living in fear. He travels the Northern Line, as do I, and he's in a constant state of alert for the Phantom Crapper. Because we never followed up on the Phantom Crapper in the Halloween issue. We talked about this guy who had a crap in 30 trains in 2 months. Roughly a train every other day. This Egg Fried Nice was saying it may be a fat man's breath, a dirty nappy, or just a slightly shitty whiff, and I'm running for the doors and getting off at the next stop. He says, but you guys are carrying on as though nothing went wrong. What's wrong with you all? You've had your Christmas, now it's New Year, and you act as if nothing ever happened. Listen very carefully when I say that nobody, not one of you, is safe until the Phantom Crapper is caught and put behind bars. Well, I was touched by the fear in Egg Fried Nice's comment. And I replied that he's still at large, but he's not. I did a bit of research, Richard, and he's been caught.
Yeah?
It doesn't... He's what? Was he having a
Mid
crap?
crap?
Well, it doesn't say if we had anything to do with him being caught. but I like to think that maybe in a small way we contributed to bringing the Phantom Crapper to justice. But yeah, he's been charged with causing more than £20,000 of criminal damage. Bonnie Ebenerdu, 36, of no fixed address. He appeared before Westminster magistrates on Friday, the 2nd of November. And I haven't been it's been adjourned, until the 2nd of November, and then I can't find out anything else. But he was arrested at Camberwell Green bus garage in southeast London in connection with 22 incidents. They don't say if he was working there or if he'd moved on to buses.
That's what I was just thinking, as he moved to buses.
They caught him with his pants down on the back of the number 36. But somebody's obviously spotted him, and he's been brought to justice. So, Egg Fried Nice, you can ride the Northern Line, and you only have to worry about getting blown up by terrorists, because the Phantom Crapper has been brought to justice. And anyway, so this on the comments board, this brought Jim Conley, who Friends of Batman episode 2 sent us in some music. I'm also going to talk about Friends of Batman a bit later on, but he left a comment saying that he worked in a sports centre where some guy once pooed in the shower, and there was also a turd-shaped shadow on the whole carpet where this guy had struck in the past. The whole.
So do you think in like years to come there'll be like an urban myth about the Northern Line? Like if you fart 3 times, the train gets covered in shit.
Well, like Candyman, the Phantom,
Yeah.
the Phantom Crapper. Don't say his name 3 times yet. Well, I thought crapping in the hallway is pretty. That's almost one better than the Phantom Crapper, because he's doing it on deserted trains. But as soon as everybody gets off, you've got a certain amount of time. I'm guessing. This guy's just squeezing one out in the hallway of a sports centre. but he only struck twice, so he's in terms of pecking order, he's nowhere near the Phantom Crapper. But this.
And can they be sure it was the same guy?
Well, he left a turd-shaped shadow. I suppose that shadow could match other shadows in. Although I think in the trains he liked to smear it about a bit. So no, maybe they can't. He's brought to justice. If the sports centre ones have stopped, I think this was a while ago in the sports centre. But so this also, Dan, who was asking how long is a soup kitchen month? Are you trying to reinvent the word? Didn't care that you were ill, Richard. Did not care. But this he requested. He says, "What happened to Clayman?" He says, "Can I put a request in for Clayman finding the turd-shaped shadow? Can you do that claymation?" And he also wanted the same music that's on the first one. So I asked Oliver about it, and you'll hear that in his bit. But as far as I know, it's already been done. And if you go to the comment section, there's a link to YouTube, and you can watch Clayman Finds the Turd-Shaped Shadow. I have to say, it's the best Clayman yet.
Oh, I'll definitely have to watch that.
Or just go straight to YouTube if you don't want to go through our comment section, and just search for Clayman Finds the Turd-Shaped Shadow. I'm pretty sure that's the only video on there with that title. I'd be surprised if that brought up 2 options.
I wondered if the second option was Japanese.
But keep sending your comments in, because they crack me up. There was some guy sent in a link to a French site. Did you see that? And that kicked off a whole.
I did.
He was sort of, there's a couple of French people who found his comments very insulting. So there was a bit of controversy there. We're having. Do you know who Jade Goody is?
Yes.
Well, you were still in England when she won Big Brother.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about the current thing? They're doing Celebrity Big Brother, and she's been accused of racism.
Yeah, there was some Asian Bollywood star, and she kept making fun of her name. And
Yeah. So that's all.
saying that's supposed to now represent the whole of the UK.
Yeah, and Jake Goody has just been absolutely vilified for it, and sort of good. It sort of became a comment on her, really. I don't think it really became a comment on her being racist. I think it became people just like, oh, she just needs to piss off and leave us alone. But anyway, we had our mini racism controversy on the comments board, but it didn't pick up as much attention as Jade Goody.
Computer game reviews.
Oliver,
Yeah.
it's the first podcast of 2007.
Yeah.
Do you think that's exciting?
I guess so.
You guess so.
Yeah.
We still need to catch up on something that happened on the Halloween podcast, which was the Haunted Corner.
Yeah.
You went out and you took your picture,
Mhm.
and we got some spooky mist on it.
Yeah.
So you followed that up. What did you do after that?
I went out to where I took the picture and I sound recorded just for about 2 minutes
Right.
to see if there was any noises.
So we're going to listen to your sound recording now from the Haunted
Alright.
Corner. See if there's any spooky noises.
Alright.
Alright, here we go.
Hi, I'm Minini, the computer game reviewer from the Electric Soup Kitchen podcast, and in the Halloween special edition of the podcast, I said I saw a ghost. So I was told to go to where I saw it, take a picture, and see if anything happened. So when I took it, there was some mist in the picture. So now I'm stood where I took the picture to see if there's any ghostly sounds or anything. I'm going to stand here for about 2 minutes and see what turns up.
Alright, Oliver?
Yeah.
I couldn't hear anything.
No.
What were you expecting? Ghostly moans? Wails?
Yeah. Man.
Have you had any ghostly experiences since?
No.
Well, I know that you have.
When?
I think when we were on holiday you did, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
Well, go on. What was it?
Well, when we had to put our hands along that wall to see if we felt any breezes or anything, my hand tingled when I went over a certain spot.
So on a certain spot on a wall that was supposedly haunted,
Yeah.
your hand tingled.
Yep.
Well, can't argue it, can't argue with you. If you say it happened, it happened. Alright, so we'll do a game review next month. What are you going to do?
I'll do Just Cause on the Xbox 360.
What game?
Just Cause.
Just Cause. And then finally, we've had a few comments on the comments board asking for another Clayman. People who maybe saw on an early version of the website that you did a little animation called Clayman Finds the Electric Soup Kitchen, a little bit of claymation, yeah?
Yeah.
And a few people, 2 people at least, 3 people actually, because there was a comment put on last night that you won't have seen, have asked for a new Clayman episode. So you're going to do that. When can we expect that?
Soon I'll try and start it today.
Try and start.
I don't understand how I could make a tail-shaped shadow in my carpet, and I'm not gonna, you know.
What? Crap on the carpet?
Yeah.
Well, he needs to. There'll be a way around it. I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, when it's done, I will put it in the links section on the website, and it'll definitely be done by the next podcast, so we can talk about it then. All right. Thanks, Oliver.
All right. See ya.
All right, bye.
Film and television.
Richard, shall we talk about Piranha?
If we must.
You didn't like the script?
Not much.
No, I didn't. This is a remake of the Joe Dante Piranha film, which is a good film. Do you remember anything about
Now,
that?
is it a definite remake, or is it just a script somebody's touting about?
Well, it's not. Well, it's been touted as a remake, but it's not a remake. It bears no relation to that film at all.
No, because that's why I thought the underground cave was going to have some sort of link back to the research place, somehow.
Well, let's. In the first film, in the first Piranha, I think it was Joe Dante's first film when he was still making good films. You know, they went. Or maybe The Howling was his. No, I think Piranha was his first film. Then he made The Howling, Gremlins, stuff like that. And then he's one of those filmmakers. There's a lot of them that sort of start off and make like 4 or 5 great films, and then just are unable to make a great film again ever in their lives. I don't know what happens. It's weird, isn't it? Like Coppola and
Lucas.
Yeah, well, Lucas hasn't even made 4 or 5, I don't think. Certainly not Howard the Duck. Why doesn't he go back and computer generate a decent Howard the Duck? You know, in like Star Wars, he thinks, there's things I needed to go back to fix because they were bugging me. Is that midget in a duck suit? Does that not bug him more than like some 70s special effects? Anyway, we're going off track a little bit there. But in the first one, and I think it was like a Jaws. After Jaws was huge, every animal you could imagine came out. You know, there was grizzly and piranha and barracuda, and it was a sort of a Jaws remake. But they get out of if they're in some research facility and they get let into the water stream and they're coming down towards a summer camp or something, and the people at the bureaucrats at the camp won't cancel some day, and the piranhas arrive, and that all happens, and it's got a sort of sick sense of humour, and I remember liking it. I haven't seen it for a long time, but I remember liking it. So they're remaking it, but this remake is it's sort of a mix of the Descent and Piranha, and I don't know what. It's sort of Chuck Russell. Do you remember the Blob remake?
Yeah,
he did that.
Which I quite liked.
Yeah, I quite like that. We went to see that on a double bill. We saw 2 films in one day, and I can't remember what the other film was. Can you?
No.
Was it Tremors, maybe? Anyway, that's not interesting to anyone else other than us. But it was a long time. That was probably 20 years ago. Just under.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Blob remake was good. But then I'm reading the Piranha thing, and it's, it's the same film.
But it's just there's nothing. Actually, there's some nice little bits. Like I thought when the girl's on the horse, that could be really, really well. Especially when it comes out the water, half eaten.
Yeah.
Same with like the big scene at the end.
Yeah.
That could be well done.
But all the characters, there's the mouthy teenagers that are going to get it. There's the party with like some rich Hollywood types that are going to get it. There's the struggling, honest dive shop worker whose husband gets lost, and her husband disappears into this underground cabin where the piranhas are getting out of. She goes and rescues him, and then he just drops dead at the end.
And she marries the other bloke.
Yeah. But there's a huge finale of explosions and piranha attacks, and her husband just dies in the middle of it for no reason.
And the fact that her new husband Now keeps the tank with some piranhas in.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit insensitive.
Yeah, it is. So every time she walks past that tank, she thinks of her poor husband.
Yeah. She's got a family, she's got kids now, but
Yeah.
I'm just rubbing nose in it.
Yeah. It's probably got like a little skeleton, plastic skeleton in the bottom of it in a dive suit. So, yeah, it wasn't good. But we do have to say that that's just, we don't know what version that is, and that's a script, and I think they're shooting it now, so the film that comes out could be very different. There's...
I couldn't stand the writing in it.
What,
the little directions that he'd put in every now and then.
What, she looks like she may never smile again, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, there's one bit where he describes the guy who's just trying to rape her. And it goes off on more from the description.
Yeah. Well, that's his personal writing style, and let's not get sued by attacking that.
No. Just saying, in my opinion, with it being a Tuesday, I didn't quite like it.
Yeah. So, I'm not holding out much hope for the Piranha remake.
No.
We've got a couple of other ones, actually. The other one that we could do next month is the Mutant Chronicles, which is a big...
Okay.
Yeah, big science fiction. I think it might be based on a comic book. It's been shot, so it probably will be out this summer. And it was shot over here, but I think it was a huge budget thing. And then after that, I've got a really... I haven't read it, but I'm going to keep that under wraps for now, but I've got a good one for us to do after that.
Ellery Queen's Minute Mysteries. This is Ellery Queen with the case I call The Big Mistake. A farmhand was the prime suspect in the murder of a wealthy farmer named Mayberry. The fact that his overalls were a mixture of dry mud and wet blood made him look very guilty. But I didn't do it, he claimed. It was raining hard and I was bringing in the tools when I saw him in the barn, bleeding to death. I ran inside, but he died in my arms. I told him, it's a good story, but you're a murderer just the same. In a moment, I'll explain why. In the case of The Big Mistake, the farmhand said he ran in out of the rain and found his employer dying. Yet the mud on his overalls was dry and the blood wet. If he were telling the truth, the mud would have been wet too. Listen again to Ellery Queen's Minute Mysteries.
News.
The country that has pioneered reality shows like Big Brother is planning a new first, a dating program for the visibly disfigured. The broadcaster SBS6 is seeking candidates for Love at Second Sight, due to be launched on the 20th of February. Do you have a visible serious handicap and are you looking for a partner, says an appeal on its website. The program is a platform for people with such problems to share experiences and feelings in a positive way with the rest of the Netherlands, and to show that they are absolutely not pitiful, the broadcaster has said. The main aim of the program is to remove prejudice about these people, to create more acceptance and respect, and of course to find the love of their lives. So, well, that's nice, isn't it?
It's a good idea, yeah, as long as it's handled sensitively and not...
Well, it seems like they are, but let me read you the last paragraph. But the majority of Dutch viewers are turned off by the show that was initially set to be called Monster Love. So, it says it all.
Yeah.
A poll by the mass circulation De Telegraph showed 85% do not like the idea, with only 9% in favour. Monster Love. There we are. So, that's their sensitive and, heartwarming appeal to, as a platform for people to share problems and experiences and feelings in a positive way. Monster Love. Started in February in the Netherlands. There was another story that I read. I didn't... this was about Michael Crichton. I don't know a lot about Michael Crichton, but I know a lot of his... read a few of his books. But I didn't know that he's... According to this, allegedly, he's quite far right. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, apparently he is. And the plot of his latest book is a sort of debunking of environmentalism, sort of suggesting that people are perpetuating a hoax of global warming in order to manipulate masses and amass wealth. But apparently, and again, this is just allegedly, and this is something that I was reading. If people who have annoyed him or pissed him off end up as characters in his books who die in horrible ways, or something bad happens to them, or they're not nice characters.
And if you're really bad to him, you end up in one of his films?
Yeah, if you're really bad, you end up in The Lost World.
Or The Sphere.
Yeah. But yeah, apparently there was a writer, a Washington-based journalist, who penned a piece called The Jurassic President, and he pointed out a lot of scientific mistakes that are in this book, as well as some lies, and he's drawn attention to the fact that Crichton had a private meeting with the president to discuss global warming when no respected climatologist had been given the opportunity. Anyway, this pissed Michael Crichton off. So in his next book, he's made a character called Mick Crowley, the guy who wrote this, who sort of pointed out all these points, was called Michael, and is a Yale-educated political columnist. So in this next book, there's a guy who's a 30-year-old Washington-based Yale-educated columnist called Mick Crowley, who is accused of raping a baby. And there's a whole paragraph about this guy, including how small his penis is. So he's written this guy into his book, as a baby raper. That sort of puts me off Michael Crichton a little bit.
It does a bit, yeah.
Anyway.
It's a strange way to work out your issues.
Yeah. Apparently it's, there's a whole... It's among the literally set, the small penis rule is a sort of well-known trick for people who've been upset, writers who've been upset by people they write in their books and say they've got small penises. I'd be happy to be in the book. Anyway, I've got pages and pages on that, but I'm not going to go through it all. And it is all allegedly. Not that Michael Crichton is ever going to listen to this podcast, but...
Well, you never know if Marcus appears in the next book.
A chubby geek with a sense of his own self-importance and his crappy little podcast. Could happen. I'll have to buy his next book now. We both will find out.
Yeah.
Marcus.
We'll definitely see if there's any mention of small penises.
The chubby small penis geek with his own podcast and his sidekick who looks like the guy out of the Night of the Living Dead 3D gallery.
Did you see the Nicole Kidman footage?
I did see that, yeah.
Well, that was really bad. So, yeah, obviously it was on the news about how unhurt she was. But as we both know, the camera guys and everyone else on the rig wouldn't have been strapped in.
Well, there was like zombies on the front, actors on the front of the car as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, apparently they were all stunt guys and they managed to hang on.
Alright.
But none of the crew, I assume none of the crew would have had safety belts or anything, or safety harnesses.
Yeah.
So it's always a very macho thing that when you ride around the rig you don't use one.
Well, amongst a crew, if you're riding a rig, it's macho not to wear a safety belt.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a British thing, though. That's probably not the same in America.
Strap on your noses, strap on your tails. We got a new position, it's illegal in Wales. Kiss me like an animal, let me sniff you too. Show behind if on a roof toss when I'm dogging your bush. We're doing the dog. We're doing the dog. We're doing the dog. We're doing the dog. Don't give us pedigree, chumma champa chappy, cause we're not hungry that way. Hey! And when you shake your tail, I feel sleazy, make me feel so gay. In a happy way.
So that was a song called Aru. And a mutual friend of the podcast, Anjon Sarkar, has done a video for that song. And that's on YouTube now. So go have a look at that. It's a good song. It's a great video. That makes it sound like the video's better than the song, doesn't it? It's a great song. It's a great video.
Yeah, I did a search for Aru, and all it brings up me is don't drive cars because it kills polar bears.
That's not... You're
Yeah,
right, you're on YouTube now.
I'm on YouTube.
ARROO.
Yep. That's what I get.
And all you get... You don't get the video?
No.
Right. Bear with me. I'm going to go on YouTube at the same time. Just see if my computer can do the processing. It's shaking and there's steam coming out the sides. It's 3 O's.
Ah.
So, if you go to YouTube and the song is called Aru. ARROOO. And if you go to YouTube and just search for Aru, ARROOO, you'll see the video to that song. And that's by Anjon. Anjon is also gonna, in the next episode, because I think I just need to get this one out today, seeing as we've upset so many people with our shoddy lateness. He's also going to do some graphics to accompany the podcast in the iTunes window or in the video window to accompany what we're talking about. Did I mention that Peter Boyle had died just before Christmas?
No?
You know he played Young Frankenstein?
Yeah.
He died just before Christmas, but he was in a lot of other things. He was in Taxi Driver, and he was in Everybody Loves Raymond, wasn't he? Not that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, not that I watched that.
Actually.
But yeah, he. I mean, I love Young Frankenstein, and I love the putting on the Ritz. While you're at YouTube, if you're looking for Aru on YouTube, also search for Young Frankenstein or Putting on the Ritz, and watch that clip, because I did, and it just made me laugh, and I thought that's not a bad way to be remembered, just for that. Just that one bit where he shouts "super duper" always cracks me up. But there was another sad loss before Christmas, Richard. It was Johnny Hutch.
What, Johnny?
Johnny Hutch. Does that mean anything?
No.
He was the little bald guy that Benny Hill slapped on the head.
Ah, then that does mean a lot.
I don't know.
He was still alive?
He was still alive. He was 93.
Wow.
I don't know if when Benny Hill was big in America, they used to repeat the same stuff. So he was world famous, Johnny Hutch, in a way, wasn't he? But for being slapped on the
Yeah, I
head.
know, it's very big over here.
But the thing was, I followed a link to some information about him when I saw that he died. He had an amazing life. What caught my interest? He said he was also worked with the Teletubbies. So I looked at it. It turns out that this guy had, well, I'll read what I'm saying. He had a life dominated by extraordinary physical feats. He was born in 1913 in Middlesbrough and joined a troupe of acrobats at the age of 14. He became a star and performed at the London Palladium as an acrobat. This is like in the 20s. He was a huge, famous acrobat. During the war, he put his skills to use by training soldiers to jump from aeroplanes. Later, he returned to circus life, travelling all over the world. At the age of 64, he won the World Circus Championships, and later he appeared on the Benny Hill Show. He also helped create the Teletubbies walk. And one of his famous quotes was that he liked to start the day, this was when he was in his late 70s, he would start the day by getting out of bed and walking on his hands.
Wow.
So, he sounded like quite a character, Johnny Hutch, but who'd have known? All I remember is him being slapped on the top of the head. So, he passed away. Richard, let's just spend 5 seconds and just remember Johnny Hutch being slapped on the head. Well, there you go. Alright then, well, we're going to end again with a bit more Boy Tate. This song is called If This Is an Answer. And then, I don't care if Mel Brooks wants to sue me. I'm going to sneak a little bit of Putting on the Ritz at the end of that as a tribute to Peter Boyle. Got anything else, Richard?
No, it's been very quiet over here. Not much in the news.
Well, I hope you get better, and to everybody, keep going in the comment section, putting their comments on. That makes my day. The other thing is, if people want to go to the iTunes, search for us in iTunes podcast and write a review, I think that helps get us noticed by the iTunes people and that they can feature you on the front page. So I think that's how it works. And so you can go and write anything you want, and good or bad. But I just think it helps get your podcast noticed within iTunes. But in terms of listeners, I think we're doing great, Richard. We're certainly...
There seems to be a lot of downloads.
There's a lot of downloads, and we certainly seem to have found a lot of like-minded people, which I suppose it's a good thing or a bad thing about the internet. I think in our case it's a good thing. All right then, I'll talk to you next month.
Okay.
And we'll try to be on time. No, I don't mean that about you. I'm saying that to everybody. We'll try and get one out on time next month.
Yeah, we'll try to do it earlier in the month.
All right, see you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Heavy is the blame, those shadows around you, the regular shame, as ever looking down to never recover, to finally see this thing out. Someone who don't wanna play, well, it's taken me my life to say that I'm fine, right? Don't get the line. So this is an answer, no more doing fine. Now I know who's got to go. My reason's been on tonight. Several lives away, I'm gonna be diving, swimming alone to new blue depths. And I never fathomed out whatever controlled me or drove me to siphon it out. Someone who don't wanna stay has taken this life to say that it's fine, right? You're in the line, so this is an answer, no more doing fine. Now I know who's got to go. The reason's been wrong tonight, and you say, away, I'm gonna be timing, departing, erasing me out. The one you said would never wait. Oh, it's taken such a time to say, and I'm fine, right? You don't get the line, 'cause this is an answer. Oh, I'm doing fine, and I know who's got to go. The reason's been wrong tonight, and you say, look at the way. This isn't the answer. You got a better way, and you know who's got to go. The reason's been wrong tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, Damen und Herren, from what was once an inarticulate mass of lifeless tissues, may I now present a cultured, sophisticated man about town. Hit it! If you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where fashion sits? Different types who wear a day coat, pants with stripes, or cutaway coat, perfect fits. Dressed up like $1 million trooper, trying mighty hard to look like Gary Cooper. Come, let's mix where Rockefellers walk with sticks or rumble.